Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we go racing here at Talladega for both the Xfinity Series as well as the Cup Series, fresh off of some news in the last episode of Kevin Harvick starting his own Cup Series team here next season in the Career Mode after, of course, he will be retiring at the end of this season. The news, though, of the driver to be determined and the paint scheme and whatnot, the sponsors on the car, is yet to be announced, but I already have some plans in mind that I cannot wait for you guys to see here later down the line this season. Now, that was really the first really big news, of course, other than Harvick's actual retirement announcement to come out this season, but I can definitely confirm right now that there are still two, at the minimum, very large announcements here coming this season in the Career Mode. As we get through going here into the Cup Series and Xfinity Series weekend here with the Moneyline 300 for the Xfinity Series at Talladega Superspeedway with Paul Menard behind the wheel for us here. He started towards the very back of the field, of course, now as it is a plate track and we can never qualify well to save our lives when it comes to these races, but we came through as this race went on, moving our way forwards with Paul behind the wheel as he came through towards that top 30. Now a little bit later on in this event here, now heading down into turns 1, but he was definitely having a tough time working his way through traffic here as these laps went on, and we were already closing in towards the later stages of this race, and he was just starting to now kind of get close to that mid-pack point here as he came through up the inside of Jeffrey Earnhardt. Then he made a 4 wide actually into turn 3 up the inside of the 15 there, and then he had Jeremy Clements in the middle now as he came through out of turn 4. That was Colby Howard right on the outside of Menard there on the exit of turns 4, but sure enough we would just continue to work away a little bit further forwards by the time we came through to the final lap here in the Moneyline 300 at Talladega. Now Paul closing in on the back of the 89 of JJ Yaley now, as I did take Landon Castle out of that car, so it is now Yaley behind the wheel here as he would actually peek up the inside there as it came through out of turns 4 down the front straightaway for the final time here in the Moneyline 300. 3 wide just in front of them there. Paul is trying to get a top 10. He was right now in P12 as they went through into the trial for the final time here at Talladega, but he would squeeze through the middle 4 wide as Paul Menard would come through to finish P10 for us here in the Moneyline at 300 as Riley Herbst would end up winning here in the Xfinity Series as Justin Allgaier would come up P2, runner-up there to him in that JGR car there. As you see Sam Mayer down there in P20. Could be seeing some news about Mayer here in the Career Mode soon, so stay tuned for that now as we come through, though, into the Cup Series side of the weekend for Talladega with the Razor paint scheme back on the car for this episode. If you've missed the news, I am holding a contest. If you have access to NASCAR Heat 5 templates, you can design my primary Razor car for next season, and I posted this on Twitter, in my Discord, and in a YouTube community post, so you can look at the rules there now, as we would, though, come through to qualify P40 here for the Geico 500 as expected, as Chase Briscoe, by the way, does return in this episode after that injury. So Haley Deegan filled in for 2 races, had a runner-up finish, or a top 5 or whatever it was at Bristol, in a subpar race last episode, but Denny Hamlin and Casey Kane on the front row here for the Geico 500 at Talladega Superspeedway. Alright, boys, have been having a great season so far. 2 wins and a lot of top 10s and just, good overall speed. So we won here last year. I don't see why we can't do it today. Let's go have a good one. There you heard myself on the radio mentioning that last season we won this very race here at the Geico 500, so no reason we can't do it again here today. There, as you see, Joey Logano still hasn't forgiven us, as Eric Jones and Matt DiBenedetto, they both go to the back of the field there, Jones being in that 02 McLaren, and of course DiBenedetto being in that number 10 Smithfield Ford Mustang for Stuart Haas Racing. Now, as we got to be really close at this point to getting Joey Logano back to a friendlier status and away from being a rival, so hopefully maybe at the end of this episode or the next one we can make that happen. Now, as the green flag is out and the Geico 500 is underway here at Talladega Superspeedway, as we're right behind the number 33 of Austin Cindric here now, as we got Chris Buescher in the mix. I'm definitely looking to potentially get some like 2021 paint schemes modded onto a driver like that 17 of Chris Buescher now, as that scheme is obviously a little bit outdated here as we go down into turns 1. I wasn't holding back at all. I was trying to get up to that outside right off the bat, but I had already dropped down to P40 as Matt DiBenedetto had gone by on the inside, and so did Eric Jones in that number 02 McLaren Chevrolet Camaro here as we go down this back straightaway on this first and opening lap. Of course, a lot of time to make stuff happen. We had a bit of a disconnect between myself and the pack here as we went down into turn 3, but as long as we stay within drafting range, we will be perfectly fine. And sure enough, we would get right back to the back of the one of Noah Gragson there, as I actually decided to go up to the high side there, a bit of a checkup from the inside lane, so I tried to make it work up here, but I quickly realized this third lane, of course, not going to work like I expected as we came through to complete this first and opening lap as Denny Hamlin leads the way, but I actually struggled to work my way through traffic here. I kind of got stuck in 40th place for the next lap or so. Now, as we went down into the corner, William Byron in the 88 car, he would end up actually taking the lead, but we came through to lap 3 into turns 1. I'm still in last place up the inside now of the 51 of Joey Gay, so definitely struggling a little bit in these first couple laps of this race in Talladega. But I wasn't really concerned at all because, of course, like I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of time to make stuff happen now as we came through to the end of lap 3. Still only about up to 37th place, still just kind of following Noah Gragson as the 99 of Daniel Suarez had actually taken the lead. Some rumors definitely floating around that he might not be in that Trackhouse car next season in the career mode, so definitely stay tuned about that Trackhouse team situation. Now, as it came through, actually some smoke up ahead, though, in front of us here through the tri-oval a few laps later, and the caution ends up coming out for the first time today, and it ends up being for the 88 car of William Byron. So that would be the end of Byron's day here in Talladega as he blows a front tire, right front I believe it was now, but we would of course stay out and get ready to go green here from P34, unfortunately being on the outside lane now as the green flag is back out, and we're now about at that halfway point here in this first and opening stages. Up front currently it was the 37 of a rookie of Sheldon Creed. He of course is splitting seat time with former F1 driver of Kevin Magnussen, who currently drives for Penske Racing in the Xfinity series. So you will see Magnussen in that car for 3 races this season: Sonoma, Watkins Glen, as well as the Charlotte Roval. Now as we come through out of turn 2, building up a nice run to the back of Cindric. To the right hand side of him we go now as we go down this back straightaway, closing in on the back of that 14 of Chase Briscoe. This being Briscoe's first race back since that big crash at Texas Motor Speedway, which put him out for 2 races where Hailie Deegan filled in at both Bristol as well as Richmond. So Briscoe already has a win this season, though. He has locked into the playoffs, so that 2 races that he missed didn't really affect him too much, so he will be still in the playoffs likely with no issues at all here as we come through this tri-oval, still struggling to make up track position. We are now on the 9th lap as we cross the line there, and we're only up to P34, and once again we dropped down to P35 as we came through to turn 2. Currently the 78 of BJ McLeod found himself out front leading this race down the back straightaways. I look to the inside briefly of Austin Cindric, can't make it work. Then the 3 of Austin Dillon, the 96 of Brandon Jones are both going to go past me. Kevin Harvick just behind myself here as we go down into turns 3. So we continue to struggle here in this first stage, but still wasn't really concerned about it now as we head down this front straightaways. We run all the way down here in the 38th position. Of course, Harvick 39th, William Byron out of the race, but definitely not looking like we're going to be in position to pick up any stage points now, as we only have 5 laps to go and we need to gain 27 positions about to get into that stage points spot now, as BJ McLeod in the 78 car continues to lead the way here as we come through out of turns 2. So a great showing from one of those new teams that kind of came in under the radar this season of Live Fast Motorsports. Now as we go into turn 3, we still had some help from Kevin Harvick. Now as we come to the center of turns 3 and 4 to the back of that 21 of Ryan Preece. Another driver who's been kind of under the radar this season is Ryan Preece. He's had some troubles here and there, but overall he's been doing a solid job in that Wood Brothers Ford Mustang. Now as we go down this back stretch, we were now into the top 30 finally, but we were already approaching the final 3 laps of this first and opening stage here, as I was looking to potentially start getting aggressive, but I really didn't have nowhere to go. It was already 3 wide in front of me with Bubba Wallace with help from his good friend of Ryan Blaney up on that outside wall there. Harrison Burton in the middle, who's had a rough season so far. Now as he's going to force it 4 wide with Bubba Wallace, Brad Keselowski, as well as Austin Cindric there in that number 33 Money Lion Ford Mustang. Now as we're going to force it 4 wide as well, I'm going to fly right on by all of these guys, move up into P25, get to the middle here between Creed and Cindric, get to the back of Ross Chastain there in that McDonald Chevrolet, give him a bit of a push there. I actually did not intend to help him whatsoever, but he kind of had a checkup, so I drilled him in the back. But now as we go into the corner behind Cindric, we drop down and get back to the inside lane as we are now moving our way forwards finally here as we would get to the inside of our rival of Joey Logano, and fortunately we get past Logano without any issues at all. So once again helping our case and getting Logano back to a friendly status now as we are approaching the final lap here of this first stage. Eric Jones in that number 02 McLaren had briefly taken the lead, but then would lose it to the 10 of Matt DiBenedetto. Was actually now get up the inside of Austin Cindric. We're up to P16 now as we come through to start the final lap in stage 1 to the outside of the 7 of Zane Smith, trying to get that draft from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Can't quite pull it off as we drop back in behind that 7 car of Smith through turns 1 and 2, but it looks like Matt DiBenedetto is in command as they go down this back straightaway for the final time in stage 1. And you see Smith, he's actually going to get linked up there with his McLaren teammate of Eric Jones now as we go down this back stretch. We got another new team of Red Bull driven by Casey Kane there in turn 3, running well today as we go down into the corner for the final time here. It's going to be close in terms of getting stage points here for us in these final few corners now, as we got some help coming from behind from that 78 of BJ McLeod. The 95 of Derek Kraus actually made a move up the inside of DiBenedetto, and Casey Kane actually runs out of field down the front straightaway. Kane out of field, and the Red Bulls, we're going to make it 3 wide on the outside with Buescher and Bowman to the line. Not quite able to get stage points there as we have to settle for P12 in stage 1 here. So overall, still a solid first stage result for us here in Talladega, but it would be Matt DiBenedetto holding off that push from Derek Kraus to pick up the stage victory. So DiBenedetto with a playoff point now as he still looks for his first win on the season with Stewart Haas Racing now, as we're going to come into the pit lane for 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 fresh tires. Good job sticking with the boys. It wasn't looking good for the first probably 3/4 of that stage, but we got a good result out of it, so I'll take it. Getting ready to go green for stage 2. We gained 1 spot on the pit lane now as the green flag is back out for the Geico 500. And of course, for the start of stage 2, we're going to go into the AMP segment here at Talladega Super Speedway. From 11th place to 1st here in just 2 whole laps at Talladega Super Speedway. You saw it all happen there in Amped, and here we are now out front in command of this pack now. And the way stage 1 started, the first, like I said, probably 3/4 of that stage, I definitely didn't expect myself to be here going for the lead. Now is actually BJ McLeod's going to drive right on by me, clear me for the moment as we go down the back straightaway. Then the caution comes out at a very bad time, because now we're going to be in 2nd place as everybody's going to be staying out here. So we are going to now be restarting on that outside on the front row. So it's all now going to come down to how well can we side draft on that 78 of BJ McLeod to potentially take this lead back here in Talladega. So like I said, definitely not the greatest timing for that caution to come out now, as we're going to have to rely on Austin Cindric to give us the push that we need to put ourselves back out front here in the Geico 500 now, as the green flag is back out. And these are the very first laps led for this brand new team of Live Fast Motorsports there with that 78 car of BJ McLeod now, as we get a pretty decent launch compared to him, closing in on this halfway point of the 2nd stage now as we go down into turns 1. But he's got a lot more help from that 10 car of DiBenedetto, who's linked up right to his back bumper, and I really have no help at all right now. Cindric, he's falling back 3 wide now as Casey Kane's going to try to get in between him and Noah Gragson as we exit turns 2. So now relying on Casey Kane to get to the back of us right here down the back straightaway, but he actually decides to not push me here down this back straightaway. He just kind of hovers there about a quarter of a car length or so behind me as we go down into turns 3, but finally now he gets on my bumper there as I continue to side draft that 78 and try to hold him back as much as I can, as now Denny Hamlin's linked up with Kane, so it's a bit of a 3-car trio going down this front straightaway here now as we have the advantage with these 3 cars on this outside lane, and the 78 is a bit disconnected with the 10 of Matt DiBenedetto. So now we power through to take the lead as we go down into turns 1 here as we are close to being clear, but I actually decide to not get too aggressive there and I let the 78 get back up my inside there. There was definitely a moment I was clear, but I didn't feel like forcing the issue too much. So I actually down the back straightaway now, I end up crossing him over as he slid up in front of me, and now we would just go to the inside with DiBenedetto behind myself and we would be right back in the lead here. But now McLeod gets forced out 3 wide with no help whatsoever, so he would fade a little bit down the order. But now we were finally out front and in command here for the final moments of this second stage. We come through a few laps later on lap 9. They were going 4 wide behind us here as we go down into turn 3. We got some McLarens in the mix. We got Noah Gregson, Matt DiBenedetto, Cole Custer, some Stuart Haas Racing Ford Mustangs that are trying to get involved there as they would get all kind of hold each other back because they were going 4 wide, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere Denny Hamlin gives a huge push to the Red Bull of Casey Kane. So now I have to get defensive out of nowhere here as I was kind of relaxing for a moment, but we would defend them with no problems at all, fortunately, as I didn't really have to cover too many lanes. But as we came through approaching the final lap of stage 2, Matt DiBenedetto gives a huge push to the back of Zane Smith, and all of a sudden as we start this final lap of stage 2, Zane Smith gets clear as we go down into turns 1. We give up the lead for the moment now, but I was expecting him to probably drift up the track on the exit of the corner, and then that would leave the door wide open for a driver like myself to just slide into the bottom. And sure enough, he goes up and then I go down. I said, you know what, we're just going to go and take the lead here. Side draft him a little bit here. Now even down this back straightaway, and we have help from the 82 of Casey Kane as we go down this back stretch as well into turn 3 on this final lap of stage 2 as Smith now fades down the order now as no one really has anything for us now, as actually Kane, he backs off of us pretty early there. He's going to try and build up one last run down this front straightaway now, as he's going to definitely get close here within a car length as we go down through the tri-oval here on this final lap of stage 2, but it's not going to be enough. We will come through to pick up a playoff point with the stage 2 victory here in the Geico 500. Good stuff, boys. They really couldn't do anything there at the end of the stage, so I'll take it. Good stuff. Playoff point. Can't really complain about that. Setting us up well here for stage 3. So we definitely got the speed that we need, so I'm confident we can pull this off. There you hear myself on the radio now as we're going to get ready to come into the pit lane here for 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 fresh tires. There, as you see, the running order currently on your screen as we go towards the bottom. Logano having a bit of a rough day. Keselowski, Harvick, they have been really struggling. William Byron still the only car to DNF from this race. Harrison Burton all the way down there in P37. Bell outside of the top 30, and so is Bubba Wallace. So unfortunate days for those drivers. And Ross Chastain is also outside of the top 20 now as we get ready to take the green flag here for the start of the 3rd and final stage in the Geico 500. Now as the green flag is out, we have help this time from the number 3 car of Austin Dillon. I believe I called Tyler Reddick Austin Dillon at the beginning of this episode, so I do apologize for that. Now as we are back underway, so Casey Kane having a good showing for this Red Bull Racing team here today in Talladega now, as they've been up in the mix quite a bit here, and especially towards the end of stage 2 when he was trying to actually get that stage 2 victory from myself. Now as we exit turns here, they're already going 3 wide in the middle of the pack now. A lot more calm up towards the front here as we go down this back straightaway on this first and opening lap here. Now as we just continue to really ride this inside or double yellow line on the inside lane here, because if you really cover this line, you should be in good shape for the most part, but there will be times, of course, where I do have to jump up a lane or 2 and try to cover off a few big runs that happen here and there. But definitely, so far, this has been quite the calm race at Talladega, other than that first and opening stage where we were clawing our way through that field. Now as we come through, once we cross the line, it will be just 14 laps to go here as we cross the line. So now the 3 of Austin Dillon, he builds up a bit of a run, couldn't do anything with it, he was stuck behind me, but the 43 of Eric Almirola, he actually got to the outside down this backstretch, and now he's going to potentially have help from the 21 of Ryan Preece, but now I get some help from the 3 of Austin Dillon, but Almirola actually ends up clearing me into the corner, so now we have to settle in behind him. But I wasted no time whatsoever in trying to get back past him down the front straightaway. Coming to the line, I decided instead of going for the inside, you know what, I'm going to try and show that we have a lot of speed in this 24 car and instead make the pass on the outside lane with help from that 3 of Austin Dillon, a draft partner of ours, as we come through the center of the corner. And sure enough, not much help for Almirola there, as the 6 of Todd Gilliland is trying to get to him, but doesn't quite have the speed at the moment to get there. So we get the push from Austin Dillon and manage to clear the 43 of Eric Almirola as we go down into turn 3. So we drop down. I was expecting Austin to follow me, but actually he does not. He stays up there. He was clear, it looked like, of the 43 for a moment there, but once he kind of pulled out of being a draft partner, he lost a ton of momentum. So we would remain leading here as we came through the lap 37, but once again they were going 4 wide behind us. We had Gilliland, the 33 of Austin Cindric, the 11 of Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, all going 4 wide into the corner. Spectacular racing behind us, and thank goodness I was not in the middle of that, because I've been in that position 4 wide a few times, and it really gets quite intense here on the NASCAR Heat 5 video game now as we go down into the travel. Now trying to cover the lanes there in the middle that had the runs, and then the 43 gets to my inside, catches me a little bit off guard. I really probably could have chopped his nose a little bit and stayed in front of him, but I didn't want to risk anything at that point there. We have a good race going for us, and we know we have the speed to win this race, so I was confident we could probably get back to the lead here in no time now as we have help from that 33 of Austin Cindric. The 43 of Eric Almirola, he actually jumped back up to that second lane, and I decided, you know what, we're going to go to the outside of you, make it 3 wide here for second place down this backstretch, still with help from that 33 of Cindric here. Now we will clear the 43 for a brief moment, but I was trying to actually help that 33 of Cindric, and instead the 43 gets to my inside, but now it's just 2 by 2 here. So we do settle into the second lane as Todd Gilliland leads over Chase Briscoe as we approach the final 9 laps of this race. Briscoe in his first race back in position to potentially go for the race victory now as we come through, hitting 9 laps to go at Talladega. Denny Hamlin's in the mix, and then the 6 of Gilliland actually moves up to the outside here, giving up the lead to the 14 of Chase Briscoe. Now, as I was having a bit of issues here moving my way forwards now, being on the second lane and not really having the help that I needed now, as we're right on the back of the 6 of Gilliland, but I make it 3 wide in between him and the 37 of Sheldon Creed. Now to the back of the 43, and once again, like I did earlier, we're going to move up to the right-hand side of that 43, but this time it does not appear that it is going to work, because I don't quite have the help that I need from that 6 of Todd Gilliland. Now he does get to my bumper, so all of a sudden, here we go, we get the big push that we need, and now all of a sudden we are going to clear all of these guys down the back straightaway, move up into P3, and now we would actually be able to run down Denny Hamlin and Chase Briscoe. Hamlin, he went all the way to the outside, so I just cruised by on the bottom with help from that 37 of the rookie of Sheldon Creed now as we head down this front stretch, closing in to the back of the 14. The 37, I was actually going up to get that draft from the 14, and the 37 decides he's not going to stick with me, so he gets to my inside, and now once again that progress that we just gained to get back up to P2 was lost, because I would fall all the way down into about 8th place by the time we came through to the final 6 laps of this Geico 500, trying to find an opportunity and a hole to get into that inside lane, but then the 10 of DiBenedetto, he fills up that space. Daniel Suarez was coming up to the back of myself here as we exit turn 2, going down this back straightaway now, but we would stay clear for a brief moment as I side draft the 10 of DiBenedetto. We would end up getting clear of him and then getting to the back of the 14 of Chase Briscoe, and through the trial I would look to the inside of him finally. So back to the inside with 5 laps to go here in Talladega Superspeedway, to the back of Cindric in the 33. We move him up the track a little bit as a draft partner, and then I hang him out. I said, you know what, I'm going 3 wide for that now 4th position. So we now are back in the top 5 after passing both Cindric and Tyler Reddick there in that same corner now, as we would get to the back of Eric Almirola as well as the 17 of Buescher as we came through now out of turns 4. Creed on the outside. Now his cars actually start pitting, and then I realized we're not making it to the end of this race on field. I had absolutely no idea that we weren't going to make it the whole time, and then I saw cars pitting, so all of a sudden here we are having to completely change the idea. We got to come into the pit lane now, so we come through to the end of lap 44, and I see the 17's pitting, so I'm going to come in with him, and a bunch of other drivers are also going to come in here now as we get side by side. A little bit of contact actually with the 17 there as we enter the pit lane, as they break way too early there, so we gain a lot of time, and then I come in for half a can of fuel, which is only a 3.1 second pit stop, and we destroy the competition there on the pit lane. So we were actually up by about almost 3 seconds to the first car off of the pit lane now, as when we cycle out here, the other drivers that had already pitted, they are also not going to be able to beat us here around. So we are going to cycle out to the lead here, coming to the final 2 laps in Talladega now, but actually the caution comes out approaching 2 laps to go, and that completely destroys that, because everybody in front of us from 1st through 9th is already on the pit lane, and they will not have to come in under this caution. So we're going to be restarting all of a sudden P10. So we were about to cycle out to the lead with 2 laps to go, and instead we're going to be forced into overtime, and we will restart in the 10th position there, as it appears Kevin Harvick brought out the caution because Tyler Reddick ended up not actually having to pit. So sure enough, we restart P10 here for the restart in Talladega. Definitely not the position I was hoping to be in or expected to be in as we were coming out of turns 4, approaching the final 2 laps, but now the green flag is out. We only have 3 laps of fuel, so we have to make sure that we don't cause any incidents here, because if we go into a double overtime, then we're going to end up running ourselves out of fuel or something here as we are back underway. Got to the back of the 37 of Sheldon Creed just a little bit now, as it is the 82 of Kasey Kahne in that Red Bull Toyota, moving himself to the front with Denny Hamlin behind him here as we come through turns 1 and out of turns 2. I'm going to go up to the outside here, a bit of a checkup on both of these lanes now as Matt DiBenedetto, he gets to my inside, and we really have absolutely nowhere to go, and it really sucked being in this spot right here because it just felt like our whole race got thrown away because of that caution now as we go down into turns 3, and the 82 of Kasey Kahne continues to lead the way, looking for a comeback victory with Red Bull Racing as we exit turns 4 to the middle there between the 43 and the 02, and then I'm going to force a 4 wide with John Hunter Nemechek wasting no time as we go down into the tri-oval now, as we can't really get a great idea of what's going on up there, but we come to start the final lap in the Geico 500 now. Denny Hamlin actually looks to the inside just about of Kasey Kahne in the 82 car, but can't quite make it happen, so Kahne stays clear. Harrison Burton now moves up there into the mix in P3. He's trying to lead the outside lane as now I force it 3 wide. You see the fuel light is on, but of course that is not an issue at this point anymore as we go down this back straightaway. Denny Hamlin once again taking a look to the inside of the 82 of Kasey Kahne as we go down into turn 3. Kahne goes all the way to the top, leaving the door wide open for Hamlin and Harrison Burton, who are side by side right now. It's 3 wide for the lead through turns 3 and 4. We're 3 wide back here as well as we exit the corner, but Kahne drifts down the order a little bit here as we go down this front straightaway for the final time. Hamlin, Burton side by side through the tri-oval for the victory. It's going to be a photo finish as Harrison Burton comes through to pick up his first Cup Series career victory in the 19-car Talladega Superspeedway and the Geico 500 as we come through to finish P11 there. Harrison Burton with the win just barely over Denny Hamlin there in a photo finish. So Harrison puts himself in the playoffs with that win in what has been a subpar season for that 19-car standard so far here in the career mode, but he changes that today with a victory now, as that puts every Joe Gibbs racing car in victory lane except for the 20 of Christopher Bell now, as you see the rest of the finishing order on your screen. Harvick actually brought out that last caution we thought, but ended up not DNFing. Blaney ended up though in P39, and in his last 3 races, that is Ryan Blaney's best finish. Now, as he DNF'd at Bristol and Richmond, and 39th today. So, very unfortunate for Ryan Blaney now. As always, though, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you do know what to do. Harrison Burton with that first victory. I honestly didn't see that coming, especially what it looked like starting the final lap, but here he is pulling it off, and he pulled it off on the second lane there, which is really cool to see as you see the playoff grids for these 3 series of trucks in Xfinity and whatnot. As right at the bottom of the Xfinity playoff grid, we got Justin Allgaier, and then of course now we come through to check out the Cup Series playoff grid there here. As you see right now, Ryan Blaney is still actually in the playoffs to my surprise, so I was not expecting that whatsoever considering his last 3 finishes, and currently Bowman's the last car in, but DiBenedetto, Custer, Dillon, Justin Haley, and Noah Gragson are currently the first 5 drivers on the outside looking in as Harrison Burton locks himself into the playoffs. But as always, if you guys enjoyed the episode, like I said, you know what to do. I just want to say a quick thank you to the Going Racing members of MJ, Aiden, James, Joseph 9001, RJ, Timothy, Bubba Jr., Illinois Diecast, Brett Durward, Devin Roth, NASCAR Collector 3, as well as Movement. As I always say, you guys help me out a lot and I really do appreciate it. Make sure to join the Discord if you haven't, to get yourselves in that members chat and let me know that you are a member when you join the Discord. But I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.